Not me entering my final stage of full-blown crash out. I'm literally crashing out. I was so excited for tonight. Oh my God, I'm so worked up. I was gonna get dressed up. I mean, I still am. I'm definitely getting a martini now. Last week, I hate student loans. Last month, I set up auto pay because I don't want to forget. I don't like being late. You can never get on the phone with these stupid student loan people. And I log on today because I have to get my tax documents. Life never ends.
So as it turns out, the student loans that I've been paying $1,500 a month for 2 years have a 17% interest rate. So what I thought I've been paying off for all this time, I'm actually, I owe more than what I started off with. So Jeff Bezos, this would be a really cool time to Venmo me, bro. I owe $90,000.
So today we're going to be talking about student loans. So we're going to see how big they can go, in which majors requires the biggest loans, and how to minimize it.
Not me entering my final stage of full-blown crash out. I'm literally crashing out. I was so excited for tonight. Oh my God, I'm so worked up. I was gonna get dressed up. I mean, I still am. I'm definitely getting a martini now. Last week, I hate student loans. Last month, I set up auto pay because I don't want to forget. I don't like being late. You can never get on the phone with these stupid student loan people. And I log on today because I have to get my tax documents. Life never ends. I'm like, oh my God, it says my payment's late. And I'm like, how does that even make sense? I set up auto pay last month with my card and my bank and all the stupid information. And then I call them today and they're like, it's going to be a 3-hour and 50-minute wait time. And then I'm trying to have dad help me. And I'm like, what did you guys have me set up auto pay for that if my payments are now late? And I'm like, I'm not crashing out over Mohila. You're ugly. I don't have time for this. I'm crying over a stupid student loan.
So the video we just saw is about a girl who didn't pay on time her student loans, and it comes with late payment fees, and that's why she's crying, because she knows that she's going to pay way more than she should. So someone said in the comments, don't worry dude, we're on a floating rock in space. So this comment is valid until they start harassing you and your surroundings, until they decide to come tow your car, until they decide to sue you and you have to go to court. So you're not in a position where you can ignore their warnings. So the best way is to negotiate, find a deal with them. Unfortunately, she has to wait for 3 hours on phone call. Sometimes I wonder if they don't do it on purpose in order to just discourage people from calling them. And someone else said, my favorite part of Mohela is when I try to log in and they act like I don't have an account every single time. It reminds me also of the tax website where you go, you verify your taxes. It doesn't make any sense, in Canada at least, that you have to open a new account every single year, and you need to have the amount you declared the year before to be able to start a new account. I think they put all those barriers to keep you away from the website, so they can send you invoice only on the website, and if you don't see it, they can take more money from your pocket.
So as it turns out, the student loans that I've been paying $1,500 a month for 2 years have a 17% interest rate. So what I thought I've been paying off for all this time, I'm actually, I owe more than what I started off with. So Jeff Bezos, this would be a really cool time to Venmo me, bro. I owe $90,000 and I didn't even spend that much on school. Any rich person, please tap in. Kourtney Kardashian, you probably have 8 houses. I'm never gonna be able to buy one because I went to college. I just signed up to be an egg donor. Guess what? Got approved. Who wants my kids? I can't afford them, so start a bidding war. Take them. What do you want? My left arm too? What the am I supposed to do? I'm gonna be in debt for my whole life. How does that even make sense? I signed up for I was 17. This should not be legal, bro. I got upset about it at work, and my coworker was like, don't you have a rich relative who can pay that for you? No, my family's poor. No. And the worst part is, bro, look where I am. Like, I can't go in because I can't spend money, but I just want to like be here because it makes me feel better.
So I really do think that the parents should verify their kids' loans before they take them, because I think they have more experience when it comes to loans. Because I suppose that those parents they bought a house, so they know how loans work, how interest rates work, and I think that they should coach their kids into getting into loans. So in the comments, someone said, and kids, remember, it's okay to go to a community college. So I didn't go to the college in Western countries, so I don't know if community college is cheaper or it is free. But if it is the case, that would be the best solution instead of taking loans. But I also understand the kids because they want to go into a school that is reputable. So when they have a diploma, let's say Harvard, it's easier for them to get a job. But that's a pretty huge bet. And today's job market is pretty hard, no matter where you're from. Let's say MIT, Harvard. If you don't have a strong network, it's going to be hard for you to find a job. If you have a strong network, at least you can count on people for referral, and it's going to make things easier. But when you have this amount of debt, you don't have the luxury to stay unemployed for long. And someone else said in the comments, this is so real. I owe like 100K and I'm not even out of school yet. Interest like 18%. I have so many questions for this person. What type of field is she majoring in? So you can analyze how much she's gonna get paid. And she's going to be a junior. So at first it might be hard for her to get a job. And the problem with these schools nowadays is they are businesses first. They're businesses. They're not always here for your well-being. They're here to make money, even though they don't act like it. And they invest so much money when it comes to marketing that they brainwash these kids, telling them that if you don't have this degree, this specific diploma from our school, you will struggle in life. And they start bragging about the people who got out of those schools and are in a huge position. And those people are the exception. They will not tell you the bottom 90% that are not making it.
And the bottom of my casket will have a file cabinet for all these student loans to rest in heavenly peace. That's how much I owe in student loans. How much money I owe in student loans. Now, let me provide you with some additional information, since I know that this video is going to go viral because people are cruel and a lot of people are going to be ready to attack me in the comments and judge me and do whatever they got to do to feel good about themselves. I am a proud 25-year-old with over $100,000 in student loan debt. I went to school. I got a free associate degree through the early college program. I then furthered my education and got 2 additional degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship with a minor in management, and I have a master's degree in organizational leadership. But one thing America doesn't know about me is that I have 1 additional degree that's not on file and it's not in the records anywhere, and that's a law degree. At any given point, I'm prepared to take the stand and explain why I cannot afford to pay a dime on them student loans. Baby, you ain't never seen a sharp, undegreed attorney like me ever in your life. It's my time to shine.
So this girl, she went to law school to be able to contest her loan, which makes sense. But still, the problem with these companies is they have the expertise in these types of problems. They have an army of lawyers, even though no matter how good you are, it's you versus them. So one brain won't be enough against 10. So in the comments, someone said, if people didn't take student loans, we wouldn't have engineers, doctors, nurses. Education is so important. There's a shortage in so many fields because people can't afford higher education. I used to think that this field lacked people because of how hard they were, like doctors, nursing. Everyone knows it's really tough. A lot of people, they give up before majoring. But now, the more I grow up, the more I understand that people are gate kept because of the amount of money they have to pay. So these majors are more for rich people than normal. And as she said, these jobs are so important that I think that the government should encourage people to get into these types of measures without having a huge loan, because the government will be the most who will benefit from it, because they're gonna take a lot of money from their taxes, because it's high paying jobs, so they're gonna get a lot of money from it. Also, the population will be extremely satisfied and grateful towards the government who is helping all those kids major in these fields. For example, here in Canada, when you go to the emergency room, you have to wait at least 6 to 7 hours before taken care of. And I'm talking about emergency, something that you need care ASAP. So I think in 2023, we lost around 14,000 people in the emergency room because we didn't have enough doctors, we didn't have enough nurses. And that type of problem should ring a bell, and the government should change the system, how it works, as I said earlier, in order to motivate kids into majoring this field. So someone else said, the bottom line is this: employers need to bring salaries up to par with the cost of living. You cannot afford to live alone anymore. So expensive to just live. To be honest, I think that the taxes should be reduced. The amount of money they invest in military defense and the amount of money they send into other countries, I think that money should be for the taxpayers and for the future taxpayers. When you hear all those billions and billions being sent away, I think about all those billions could have been invested into scholarships.
Hi there. Let's talk about this number right here. This is how much debt I have. I'm about $180,000 in debt from both federal and private student loans, my car loan, credit cards. That is all of my debt. I am 24 years old. I have a bachelor degree, so not even a master's. I have one minor, no focus in my major, as well as an honors degree, which did require some extra credits. So that is where this number is coming from. This is on top of the little amount of scholarships that I was awarded, so money I didn't have to pay back. This is everything I owe. Everything I owe. I came out of college in June of 2024, and I did not look at the debt that I was accruing. I took out loans as I needed them each year for college, and I didn't really think about what the percentages meant because I was never taught financial literacy. I didn't think about what the realistic number was going to be that I would have to owe each month on these loans, and they are astronomical, I will say. Sally Mae, which is my private loan creditor, wants $1,800 a month from me. That's just Sally Mae. I am right now in a grace period for 12 months where I only have to pay $1,033 to Sally Mae. I would not be able to afford the $1,800 a month if I wasn't able to get it down for 12 months. I don't know what I'm going to do in 11 months, but this is just me talking about it. On top of that, I owe about $287 to the federal government per month. That's not changing. And I owe $202 for my car payment. And that's not even including the $150 or $60 that I owe each month for the car insurance or my credit card payments. That doesn't include any of that. So alone, Sally Mae wants $1,800 from me. I graduated college, as I just mentioned, in June of 2024, so this last year, and I wanted to just have a nice summer because I have been doing school for the last 5 years, and I've been taking summer courses full-time every year, and as well as working full-time. So this is also like the debt I have, and I was working full-time during the summers, and I was working part-time during the school years, so that's all, like, I still had no money, like, and I had to take out loans. So being 23 years old, almost 24 when I graduated, I decided that I was just going to get a part-time job so that way I could only work part-time during the summer and kind of enjoy the summer because I've been doing over full-time in schools and working and had a role in my sorority, and I decided that I was just going to work part-time. And if I had looked at my loans fresh out of college, which I highly recommend you do if you have loans, do not wait until they are due to start looking at them. I decided to do that and made barely any money, but I didn't have any loan payments at the time during the summer. And I wish that I had started making the payments as soon as possible on those loans while I had them. So I worked part-time. Around November, my best friend was like, hey, I have loans. You have loans. Have you looked at what your loan payments are going to be? And I was like, shh, can't be that bad, right? Wrong. I looked at my loan payments and I cried. Because I was not taught financial literacy. And I didn't understand how a credit company for student loans could charge me $1,800 if I wasn't making that much. I thought, okay, there must be something similar to the federal aid where you can do it based on income. No, they don't offer that. So I would also look into that before you take out student loans if they're going to offer income based or anything. They don't offer that. The best I could do was bring it down to $1,000. And then I was struggling to find a full-time job. I applied for like 3 months to over probably 500 jobs before I finally found one. This is the catch, that doesn't even require my degree.
So she said she wasn't taught financial literacy, but I don't think that's a good excuse. Nowadays you have internet, you have access to information on your palm of your hands. So your phone is not only for entertainment. You can do so many researches, but also you can bring the subjects to your parents, you know. You can tell them, hey, I'm about to take a loan, this in this, explain them in details, and they'll give you advices. This is why it's extremely important to know the person's loans before you marry him or her. So you need to know their loans, because it's a taboo subject. It's a subject that is hard to talk about. But what you gotta know is when you marry this type of people that are already in debt, their problem will be yours. You're gonna share that debt. You're gonna pay it together. So it might mean having to downgrade your lifestyle, delaying your financial project. If you wanna retire earlier, it's gonna be harder. If you wanna buy a house earlier, it's going to be harder too. So do your researches. Make sure you ask the right question before getting married. So you have Maritza who said, I cancel that trip respectfully. Do you want to be helped? Put that money towards the debt. Stop using quote unquote not having financial literacy as an excuse. And she answered, respectfully, stop judging my life after one 10-minute video. But she exposed all her life so people can judge it. I think what she is trying to do is she is complaining in public in order to make that video go viral and be able to use that money either for more expenses or spend it on the loan. Because while scrolling through these reels, I saw someone that had that same story. So she was complaining about her loans and her video went viral and she paid a huge chunk of it thanks to that video. So someone else in the comments said, I live at home, sell car and get a paid off beater. Tackle small loans first, absolutely bare essential spending. Cut down on trips, eating out, and shopping for the time being. I'm afraid that she's not here for advices. And if I was her close one, I'd tell her maybe to consider filing for bankruptcy.
I recently posted about the fact I'm 26 years old and I'm in $95,487.73 worth of debt, and I want to talk about it. Up until 24 hours ago, I did not know that was actually the total of all of my debt, credit cards, and student loans. That number also does not include my auto loan, and if we are adding in my auto loan, the total number is $110,938.83. Since totaling up all of my debt, I don't think I've actually gotten one good breath of oxygen in the last 24 hours. I feel like there is an elephant sitting on my chest, and I don't think I can sit still because all I keep repeating is $95,487.73. All of this debt was racked up through decisions I made between the ages of 18 and 26. My first associate's degree I got from a community college and I didn't have to pay for because of the Pell Grant, but I decided to go to a university and got my bachelor's degree, which is where I really started to rack up the debt. Then in the last 2 years, I decided to finish a nursing degree at a community college in the last 2 years, but that's where I started to rack up even more debt. What really sucks is realizing that the majority of these student loans is not from tuition. It's actually from living expenses and living way above my means. My debt comprises of 2 credit cards, 5 federal student loans, and 5 private Sallie Mae loans. I can handle the federal student loans, but when I tell you Sallie Mae is bending me over and not in a way I like, it's actually insane. Sallie Mae is genuinely evil and they prey on young students. And the reason why they take advantage of young students is because they know if you're reaching out to a private loan like that, you genuinely need it. Out of the 5 Sallie Mae loans I have, one of the interest rates that is the highest is 16.28%. The lowest interest rate I have with Sallie Mae is 9.88%. Now, my federal student loans are between 4 and 6%, which I think is manageable. Although I had parents who would tell me what I should or shouldn't do, I never had anybody really sit me down and fully teach me financial literacy.
Look, I don't want to sound judgmental, but if you are old enough to take a loan, you should be old enough to sit down with yourself and start questioning that loan. And sometimes it's even your family. You can have a financial advisor in your family. So you can use internet. You can hire a financial advisor. You pay him the hour fee and he will explain you what to do. I would understand if it was 100 years ago. Back then, you didn't have easy access to information. But nowadays, information is everywhere. If you pay a small fee, it can save you a lot. If you hire a financial advisor for an hour or two, he'll explain you what to do. And if you don't have that amount of money, spend time on Google. Take weeks doing your researches, because this type of mistakes, they follow you for the rest of your life. So yeah, it's time to take more accountability. If you consider yourself not being financially literate enough, don't take a loan. Be financial literate, then you're gonna take the loan. So in the comments, someone said, very well said, and thank you for your honesty. I agree that we don't teach our youth about money. that should be a requirement in the first year of college, not Eastern European art history. I think that the system doesn't want you to be financially literate, because when you have these types of debts, it means that you're easily gonna be stuck in a job that you don't like, and it's going to be a low-paying job that is going to exploit you. And the academic system, the way it was made is it creates a generation of followers, but not a generation of thinkers. Because when you have thinkers, they will question how legit the system is. So someone else said, at 26, I was 230K plus in debt, law degree. 5 years later, 185K paid, 90K left, should be debt free in 8 months. It's hard, but deciding to take action and pay them off intentionally is totally worth it. In her situation, I think there is a lot of circumstances to take in consideration. What major did she graduate in? How much was she paid for her first job? There are so many things that you should take in consideration before being able to take those types of debts. Because you see people borrowing 100K for an art degree, and when they get unemployed, they don't understand. They're confused. So those people, I think, as I said earlier, you always need to do researches, talk to your surroundings, get all the informations you can have from them, and use that to your advantage. And in the comments, this one is pretty important. So Kaylin said, I'm 27, filing for bankruptcy, and it's lifted a huge weight off my shoulders. So the creator answered, can't ever do this because I'm marrying a financial advisor, so I gotta get it together. So how it works is when you work in finance or when you work for a bank, your credit score will affect your employment. For example, when you get recruited, they will ask for your credit score. The bank I was working for, every 3 years, they will check your credit score. And imagine if you have declared bankruptcy, you might have to explain your employer, because keep in mind that a financial advisor is manipulating people's money. And if he can't manage his own money, it means that he won't be able to manage other people's money. And from this comment, I suppose that the woman, she's sharing a joint account with her husband. And that's why if she declare bankruptcy, it will automatically affect the husband because they're sharing that same account.
It should be illegal to put interest on student loans. What the hell is this? The interest on my $50,000 loan for my research year during med school totals $78,000. The interest is more than the loan, meaning by the end of the payment, I owe $128,000 total. Am I doing something wrong? How else are people paying for this? Should I not have went to school? I got out of school, so I called Sally Mae and I was like, I can't afford these $700 payments right now. They're like, that's fine. We'll just put you on like $250 payments for a year. Which means that once I get out of these $250 payments, it will actually, my loan would have actually went up because I wouldn't have been paying the full interest amount every year. So paying the minimum off my student loan every year does nothing but shave off the interest, which means the loan never goes away. Separate from this $50,000 loan, I have $250,000 in loan through the med school that I haven't even considered yet, that I don't want to think about. So I have $300,000 in direct debt, but if I include the interest, then my debt is actually over $500,000.
Unfortunately, this is why we don't have enough doctors, because not everyone is willing to take a 300K or a 500K loan to major in a specific field. And sometimes I've seen people who took a huge loan, but they weren't able to graduate. So they weren't doctors at the end, and they had to find a normal job, and they still couldn't pay the loan. So in the comments, someone said, college used to be free. This is why I don't think it's always a good idea to base your whole opinion on your parents' advice. So it's okay to have their opinion, but I would suggest to do your researches on the internet and hire a financial advisor. The generations are different. Let's be real, your parents, they had it easier when it comes to loans. It was less expensive, so these lenders, they couldn't put a huge amount of interest on it. And some of them didn't even need to get a loan. That's why I'll say things, they change depending on the generation. It's probably your parents who convince you to go to school and study and get a bachelor degree, and you're gonna be employed for sure. And sometimes they are the one motivating you, pushing you to get this huge loan to get into these prestige colleges. And when you get out, it doesn't guarantee you a job. In the past, it used to be the case, but nowadays you have so many white collars, and you don't have enough enterprise to hire every single one of them. Another doctor also said, I took out a 150K loan and now I owe 450K. So 150K is only the loan itself, but the rest is interest. It's crazy. These lenders, they will lock you into a generational debt where you have to pay for the rest of your life and you won't be able to realize anything. Because with this amount of loan, how are you going to be able to buy a house? How are you going to able to retire?
I'm a second-year medical student, and this is how much student debt I have. My federal student debt is currently $129,901.09. And of that amount, $7,186.09 is the interest. For some context, I've taken out 4 semesters worth of federal student loans. This includes the unsubsidized loan as well as the Grad Plus loan, which has an insane interest rate. And I graduate in 2028, which means I have 4 more semesters worth of loans to take out, and that also includes the interest that it will accrue by the time I graduate. I think that debt transparency is so important. I think it's really important for someone to be aware of this if you are interested in pursuing medicine, because unless you have the financial means to pay for it cash out of pocket, you have to rely on student loans and some scholarship to fund my medical education.
So we know how expensive medical tuition can be, but we shouldn't forget about law school, like this girl who owes 220K.
So asking if Harvard Law was worth all of the debt that I'm in now is a tough question. On one hand, I picked Harvard because I knew it was a very low risk option. If you go to Harvard Law, then you're almost guaranteed to get a job that pays well. And so for me, I didn't know how well I'd do in law school, and I wanted to go to a school that I knew I could get a job no matter how I did. But on the other hand, if I had taken a scholarship at a lower ranked school and done as well as I did at Harvard, then I still would have gotten the same big law job. So when you're considering where to go to college or where to go to law school, you really do need to think about the finances and figure out what makes sense for you. For me, I'm happy with my decision to go to Harvard, but at the same time, it's going to be really hard for me to pay off these loans, even with the salary that I received.
So in some field, you have less competition than others. For example, when it comes to software engineering, we all know that the competition there is extreme because the barrier of entry isn't there anymore. So people, they get a certification in 6 months and they become a software engineer. But when it comes to law, I think that the competition is less extreme there. So in that situation, it's better to go to a normal law school because when you get out, there is a high chance for you to get a job. When the number of candidates is low, the company won't have the luxury to discriminate between the students who comes from Harvard and others. That's why I don't think that you really need, in some fields, I gotta be extremely precise. In some fields, I don't think you gotta need to go into the most popular schools in order to get a job, because the field itself, they need juniors, and they, as I said earlier, they don't want to discriminate anyone, because if they do it, their competition will take you and they will lose. It's the company that will lose.
I'm 35 years old and in $169,292.74 of debt, and I still live at home with my parents. And you might as well bump that up to $266,722.97 in debt if you add in how much I will pay in interest. I started aggressively looking at my debt in January and truly didn't know the full financial picture until I got it all down on paper. Debts include 2 private student loans, 10 federal student loans, 1 auto loan, 1 private loan, and 13 credit cards. I've already taken some drastic measures to reduce spending and start side hustling. I started posting my debt payoff journey here on TikTok in hopes of growing and getting into the creator fund. So if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching and following. I'm selling my debt tracking template, I'm door dashing, donating plasma, selling items around the house, and doing TikTok shop to try and make a dent. Made some really good progress so far thanks to an annual bonus I got from my 9-to-5 job, but I've got a long way to go. I've been able to negotiate most of my interest rates on my credit cards down with the help of a debt management plan, but the interest on my student loans is wild. My 2 private student loans have interest rates of 12.75% and 8.9%, while my federal loans range from 5.8 to 6.6%. The private student loans are from my undergraduate degree, which I earned over 15 years ago. I would probably puke if I knew how much I had already paid. And to this day, I think about all the frivolous things I bought and did when I was in my teens and 20s with this money, and wow, if I would have known I would be paying for tank tops and fun nights out at bars 1,000 times over the next 15 years, I might have made some different choices. Even though I've already paid off about $31,000 of debt so far this year, I'm still not looking at being debt-free until 2040. I honestly cannot imagine another 15 years of paying on this debt, especially with so many other life milestones I want to achieve, like buying a house and having kids. I also just got engaged, and it truly makes me sick thinking about how I am bringing more than $150,000 of debt into our marriage starting out. This is not a video to complain by any means, because these were my own choices and I'm working to pay back what I owe, but I hope sharing this can resonate with others, and if you want to follow along on the journey and like and follow and share and all that fun stuff, that would be great.
And this reminds me that if I'm going to be a parent, I'll keep an eye on the finances of my kids, because if they are in debt, it means that I need to chip in. It means I need to help them in those debts. So I will keep an eye on their financial decision. I will always tell them about the things that I've learned. And I expect them also to do their own researches. As I said, the generations are different. Rules change. So yeah, this was the video. I hope you really liked it. Let me know if you have a student loan in the comments. I've never had one. See you soon. Take care. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ciao.